live from the Sportsbook at Parks Casino in Bensalem, Pennsylvania. Live on the VH White Sport YouTube page. I'm your host, Jeff Staversky, alongside my producer, Julia Hoff. A lot to get to today, of course. The Phillies in spring training, and we're going to get into all of that. I mean, a ton to get to. And, of course, the Sixers, VJ Edgecombe, MVP of the Rising Stars Challenge. We're going to hear from VJ Edgecombe coming up later in the show. Let's get into this whole Phillies thing. Can we please get into the Phillies thing? It is Valentine's Day on this Saturday in the city of brotherly love, and there is no love lost for one Nick Castellanos. Days after being released by the Phillies, he is going to the San Diego Padres on a Major League Baseball league minimum. So the Phillies are going to eat the rest of that salary, about $19 million, $18.5 million. The Phillies are going to just flat out eat. And it should be interesting when Castellanos returns to Philly with the San Diego Padres on June 2nd. I think he's going to get all of that. I think what transpired this year, not just his production, but everything off the field, his treatment toward Rob Thompson, everything that has come out in the last few days, he's going to get booed. And you have to think, how does a guy on a $100 million contract completely get let go? I mean, the Phillies would rather pay him essentially almost $20 million than they have him on the club. That's how detrimental Phillies are. And that's how much he wore out his welcome. And if you want to know why the Phillies let Nick Castellanos just go and they released him, and they couldn't trade him, and they have to eat $20 million, look no further than that handwritten note. How telling was that note? More than the batting average, more than the strikeouts, more than the defense, more than the contract. That note, I just thought was just ridiculous. My 9-year-old writes notes like that. I mean, the immaturity there was just astonishing. Astonishing. Crossed out sentences, crossed out words. He drew a picture with a house on it. I mean, really? What is that? Rambling explanations. This is how a veteran Major League Baseball player on a $100 million is expressing himself, so-called saying goodbye to Philadelphia with, taking some digs, taking some shots along the way. And you just go, really? Like, that's how you're going to go out? And then the explanation of the whole Miami incident back in June, where he gets into a verbal confrontation with Rob Thompson, bad enough. But to bring a beer into the clubhouse, from the clubhouse down into the dugout, I mean, and the fact that the Phillies don't suspend him over that is absurd. The Phillies should have suspended him over that. So as you look at the note, and he talks about the Miami incident, he wanted to get in front of it before an article came out in The Athletic. He admits to getting pulled from the game in Miami in June in front of family and friends. He brought a beer into the dugout during a game as he was going after the manager, Rob Thompson, and had to be pulled away. A beer in the dugout during the game? And look, he does admit it was taken out of his hands before he could take a sip. But the maturity, the distraction, the drama over a guy who has not been a great baseball player. Let's face it. He was not a great baseball player in Philadelphia. And especially did not live up to that contract. And it's so bad the Phillies just go, get out. Just get out. And they have said it all offseason. Basically, from the moment the Phillies were eliminated in the playoffs against the Dodgers, Dave Dombrowski was like, yeah, we're good. And keep in mind, Dave Dombrowski has known Nick Castellanos his entire career. He drafted him with the Tigers. Dombrowski was leading the Tigers when they brought Nick to Detroit. They go way back. And they didn't even try to fix this thing. There wasn't even an attempt. That's how just bad it got. But to bring a beer into the dugout, and I get it, the passion stuff and getting in an argument with Thompson, I get it. Emotions can get high. I'm not as upset at that, but the beer stuff and for the way that He puts everything in a handwritten note that's scribbled and doodles. What are you doing? He's supposed to be a veteran presence. He's supposed to help set the standard. Instead, okay, you don't like being taken out in the game in front of family and friends. Well, play better. Play better, Nick Castellanos. You're making a ton of money. Play better. Your defense is atrocious. You were terrible as a defender. One of the worst in baseball. Okay, not just last year, but his entire tenure with the Philadelphia Phillies. And what he did is not leadership. It's being a baby. It's just being immature. He's being a baby. And again, the defense stinks. One of the worst outfields in baseball. Yeah, I would have removed him too, and he's lucky Rob Thompson didn't do it earlier. And I get it. He wants to play every day. And I don't blame him for that. And I know baseball is more of an individual sport than some of the others, like obviously football and basketball and hockey. But man, his colors really showed there. They really showed in that note, in the way he conducted himself all season. And I talked to a lot of people. I don't think he was well liked with the media, for what that's worth. There's a lot of people that thought he was very condescending and disrespectful. And that's the truth of it. And I get that they have a high-pressure job, and the other aspect of it is, okay, you make a lot of money, and that doesn't mean you should put up with stuff, or it doesn't mean you're not going to get frustrated with media, or there could be some tension there. Sometimes there is tension between reporters and players and athletes and guys asking tough questions, or guys get rubbed the wrong way. That happens. I mean, think about it. Like, how many people are in the world? Billions of people, and everybody has a handful of friends. So I'm not saying you have to be buddies and chummy and everything else, but I think it felt like there was a lack of respect there. And look, people talk. And his emotion getting the best of him, you can defend him having a bad season on the field or in the outfield. But the stuff off the field and what would go on in the dugout with the beer, people talk. And so that's why you weren't able to unload Nick Castellanos and $20 million, even for a low-level prospect or just straight-up money. Just give me some cash back. That's why you couldn't do it. Nobody was willing to do it. So he catches on now with the Padres. And I just think back to, what do you need this for? The tension in the clubhouse, the emotional swings, handwritten manifestos explaining your issues. And I pass. I mean, goodbye, good riddance. And the Phillies didn't release him because of one bad game or one bad week. This was built up over time, and you could sense it so much so that the Phillies didn't even try. They didn't even try to say, let's try to work this out. They didn't. They just go, okay, we'll bring in Adolis Garcia. And so, Nick, you don't like it? This is professional sports. Okay, you don't like what's going on internally? Play better. Be better. You're a $100 million guy on a $100 million contract. Be better. And Philadelphia will embrace the passion, and he would show some passion here and there. But come on. And look, at the end of it, he says he'll learn from this, but my goodness. I thought this was just a really bad run. And I thought it would be better. I mean, Dave Dombrowski, like I said, has known Nick Castellanos. And if you want to go, okay, maybe this doesn't paint the whole picture, and maybe you're not convinced by the, I thought was a ridiculous 4-page handwritten note. Did you see what Kyle Schwarber said? So Kyle Schwarber was asked about Nick Castellanos, whether he was a distraction to the Phillies last season. Here's his response. I'm going to read this. Quote, I mean, it's either neither here nor there. You know, we did what we did right. I felt like that in the Dodgers series that we played good games, right? Like we were just things we didn't execute. We didn't walk away with wins at the end of the day, so it's hard to say here or there, right? We put ourselves in the position where we wanted to be. We just got knocked out. So can't really say. That is so telling. You have a leader on the team, Kyle Schwarber, asked if Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber's asked if Nick Castellanos is a distraction. And that's your answer? It's neither here, neither there, and you go on some ramble about the Dodgers series? That's telling. That he didn't just even blow it off and go, yeah, everything was, it's fine. We wish him the best luck. It didn't work out. That is so telling to hear that. I mean, I was like, that's his answer? I just thought to myself, I heard that yesterday from Kyle Schwarber, asked about Nick Castellanos, and that's your answer? That's telling as well. And that says a lot. And it tells you everything you need to know about Nick Castellanos. Why the Phillies could not trade him for even a low-level prospect, or why they could not trade him for even, a few $100,000 or even $1 million. And I know there's some fans out there that love the guy. And I'm not trying to kick him on the way out, but it's just a reality of the situation. And, look, Kyle Schwarber believes the Phillies, without Nick Castellanos, can win the World Series. Here's Schwarber.
This is a team that is very capable of doing what we want to do at the end of the day, and that's holding up a World Series trophy, right? Like, there's so many different integral parts of winning a World Series, and there's so many great characteristics about what we have here, and that the capabilities there, right? Like, you look at our pitching staff, you see our offense, you see the way that we play defense. Like, it's everything's there. It's just at the end of the day, we just got to do it, and it's not like saying that that's a given thing. I think that's the biggest thing. Is there's no excuses, right? Like, it doesn't. At the end of the day, it's just going to have to come down to us to be able to keep pushing every single day to get in a position, one, to be able to hold up a trophy. That's us getting into the playoffs any way possible, winning the division, which is a goal of ours every single year. And if it's not that, finding our way into the postseason. And it's just, it's what we all dream about, right? Like, everyone envisions going down Broad Street, having that parade. It is what it is, and for us to have to come over, to overcome whatever it is throughout a year, and to be in the postseason and put ourselves in good positions to win baseball games in the postseason is what all it comes down to.
So there's Kyle Schwarber. Without Nick Castellanos, he believes the Phillies are still a World Series team. I mean, Nick was brought here to win a World Series. I mean, he talked about it for the last couple years. But what Schwarber said and didn't say about Castellanos is so telling. It really is. And if you're not convinced that Nick Castellanos was a bad fit here, and it happens, not everybody's built for Philadelphia, and certainly his play on the field dictated a lot of these issues too, as his role changed late last season. But if you're not convinced that Castellanos was not a very good player and not a good fit, take a look at some of these numbers. Last year, his season stats, .250 batting average, 17 homers, 72 RBI, OPS 694. His average tied for the 96th best in baseball. Okay. Tied for 112th in homers, tied for 80th in RBI, ranked 128th in OPS. That's him at the plate, okay? That's him at the plate. Atrocious, right? Is that a $20 million player? Of course not. Then if you look at his fielding, the OAA, a -12, tied for worst in baseball, okay? It's a metric, it's a base metric of skill that shows how many outs a player has saved. Castellanos was tied for the worst in baseball last year, and since he's been a Philly since 2022, he ranks 261st out of 267 qualified defenders, okay? His defense was atrocious. And he wants to get mad at Rob Thompson for taking him out of games as a defensive replacement. And then later in the season, kind of becomes a platoon guy. Like, Nick, look yourself in the mirror. And then look at what you're doing off the field. You're obviously annoying teammates. You're obviously an issue in the clubhouse. When Kyle Schwarber, one of the faces of the franchise, said what he said, it's an issue. And, even his WAR, last season was a minus 0.6, ranked last out of 145 qualified players in baseball. His 0.8 WAR as a Philly was a combined 28th worst, in baseball going back to 2022 when he came to Philadelphia. And if you want to put that into perspective, as far as salary, he was the 13th highest paid outfielder in baseball. Last year at $20 million, the 13th highest paid player as an outfielder in baseball. And you're putting up some of the worst numbers. And if you look at that and take a step back, you're going to go, how did Rob Thompson not bench him earlier than that Miami series in June? I mean, come on, Nick. Look in the mirror. And the immaturity is just astonishing. Reportedly, he didn't love the way he was treated, which I think is delusional because, how about this? The Phillies allowed you to bring your son into the clubhouse and on the field all the time. All the time. Every day. And I know his son Liam is super cute and was a really fun story in 2022. And I love those kind of stories. I do. I think it's great. But how many other players are bringing their kids in and out of the clubhouse and they're during batting practice, on the field, traveling with the team all the time? All the time. Not many. And think about this from this perspective. How many of you at your job are bringing your kids into work every single day, just hanging around the office or hanging around anything you do? Not many. So I don't want to hear this and feel this, I wasn't treated great mentality about the Phillies. The Phillies gave you a long leash, And this is not a knock against his son or anything like that. I have little kids, but you're making $20 million a year. You're stinking up the joint. You're having outlashes in the dugout, in the clubhouse. You're bringing beer onto the bench. I mean, dude, really? I just thought it was really, really time to go. And that was the case all offseason. Dave Dombrowski made no bones about it that they were not bringing him back, and they were trying. Here's Dombrowski in Clearwater talking about the decision to move on from Nick Castellanos.
We've spent a prolonged time trying to make a trade, and when I say that, trying to move his contract for minimum return from a dollar perspective and player perspective, but just hasn't worked out. And at some point, you just have to say, well, this isn't going to work. We have felt that we need to get a change of scenery for Nick, and wish him nothing but the best. He did a lot of good things for our organization. He was here for 4 years. We won every year he was here. Got a lot of big hits for us and a lot of big hits in the postseason. So wish him nothing but the best, except, of course, when he's playing the Phillies. And, so that was the news for today.
In your opinion, why had the relationship soured to the point that you did not want to bring him back?
Well, I don't know that there's one specific. I know that a lot's being said about this incident in Miami. I don't think it's necessarily one incident. I think you just sometimes are in a situation when you're around day in and day out. You just, things just don't work at a particular time. This isn't the first time. I mean, I think normally what ends up happening, Nick's been a very good player. He's had a nice career. And he probably will continue to do things very well. But a lot of times when a good player has their role change with the club, it can cause some friction. And his role changed last year from where it was. I mean, he played every single day for a lot of years in a row. And so sometimes that can contribute to it. Sometimes then people have debates between themselves where they're not all on the same page. But when you put all that together, sometimes you just need to make sure that you have a change of scenery.
And some people out there were getting upset with Dombrowski. Why not do this earlier? Why let it go into spring training and tell them not to report? And they do it essentially right before position players are, supposed to officially report. But look, I mean, in baseball terms, he was their property, and they were paying him a lot of money, and they're trying to get something back on their return. And maybe if Castellanos wasn't acting childish and wasn't causing these issues that the Phillies were having just tons of meetings about, exhausting meetings about Nick Castellanos, and maybe if he doesn't bring a beer into the dugout, and the Phillies really could have made a spectacle of this in June, and they didn't. And that shows what class and grace the Phillies had back then. They could have really, really made a scene of this situation and suspended him. Baseball could have suspended him, and they didn't. And so people talk. That's why there was no market for this guy. And I will tell you, I think this is a good thing. I do. He just wasn't a fit here, wasn't working out. His personality, just not a fit here. But I like the upgrade. I do believe it's an upgrade in right field. Adolis Garcia comes in here. Since 2022, Garcia has more homers, more RBIs, more stolen bases, provides that rare combination of power and speed than Castellanos simply just does not bring. And by the way, if you look at a side-by-side comparison, he's essentially half the price. And I know you're eating most of Castellanos' money anyway, so maybe, it's a moot point. But he's not an issue in the clubhouse. Garcia isn't just a stats guy. He can be a game-changing presence. And I know he's coming off not a great season with the Rangers, but he can light up the scoreboard with one swing. He can steal your bags. I think he's a highlight reel in the outfield, okay? He's a gold glover. He won ALCS MVP. His batting average isn't as great as you would like it. Nobody's perfect. But my point in this is, I think this is an upgrade over Castellanos. I really do. And Castellanos, look, he had some big moments. He did have some big moments in the playoffs, a couple of the playoff runs. But I think Adolis Garcia is an upgrade. And you see the side-by-side stats there. I think, especially defensively, and he's going to be given every chance in spring training and to start the season to be the everyday right fielder. I mean, let's not forget, his OPS, his slugging over the last 4 years showed that even Castellanos' consistency, Garcia's peak performance is higher. Garcia, I think, is a better player. And from everything I know, Garcia is going to cause way less drama. I think that's a win. I think it's a win, even if you say, okay, their numbers, even though he has more power than Castellanos, the defense in right field is an upgrade. I think it's a major upgrade, okay? He has an amazing arm. Garcia batted .227, 19 homers, 75 RBIs last season with Texas. But listen, man, on the biggest stage in the ALCS, comes up big in 2023, wins ALCS MVP. The Phillies signed outfielder Adolis Garcia to a one-year contract, okay? I think he plays with emotion. He plays with passion. The Phillies believe they are going to be able to fix his swing. They've been working on it for months. They believe they've identified some things that they can fix and get with him. I think it's going to be a really big thing. Here are the Phillies on why they wanted to sign Adolis Garcia and how they feel about him. Take a listen.
He's not afraid of the big moments. We've seen that throughout his career. And I think in our situation, it's a comfort zone for playing with a club that has a chance to win and also being potentially in the postseason. So sure, it helps. It helps having that type of success.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. There's the emotional part of it where you're trying to do too much, trying to put the team on your shoulders. That comes into play. And then there's a physical part of it too, is that, and it's body and mind related, but for Adolis being a right-hand hitter, thinking about staying on the ball, thinking a little bit more about right center field and, just cutting down the swing and making better decisions. And that comes with reps and different drills. And our hitting coaches will be all over that. It all depends on performance and things like that. But I think that if Adolis does what he normally does, and he's just himself. I think he's one of those protector guys for those left-handed bats. So yeah, I'm expecting really good things from Adolis.
Our scouts had very good reports on him from what they saw. Even though some of the stuff may be slightly down, it's still positive in many directions. I think the one thing that we talked to Adolis when he signed about this, he needs to be more under control with his swing. We don't need him to hit the ball out of the ballpark on every swing or every at bat. We think he can do that. And our hitting coaches, to me, that's one of the things that they do very well with working with individuals. So to me, it's a matter of putting more, not trying to do too much would be the best example of why we think it's there. The tools are there. The ball jumps off his bat still. So bat speed still there. Exit velocity is very good. So those are all things that we feel encouraged about. And I'll let Topper. And our scouts had good reports on him from last year. Now, again, not the best year last year for him or the last couple of years, but there's still a lot of positives in there as far as the ability is concerned. And we think it has more to do with approach than it would be abilities.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree 100%. You have to be yourself and relax, have fun, be yourself. Don't try to do too much, because we got a lot of really good players around him. I know that Texas had some injuries last year. Maybe he tried to do a little bit too much for the team. So yeah, it's just really getting back to basics, controlling the strike zone a little bit better, using the field, because his power stands out in any part of the ballpark. So I'm super excited about this. I really am, because he's a really good defender. He can really throw. He's a great guy. He's really good friends with Sosa. So that tells you something about the guy, the man. So I'm really excited about this. This guy's a talented guy, and he's, I mean, last year maybe for him it's a down year, but it's still a lot of production, and you got that really good defense.
And we're signing him, in our view, as being our everyday right fielder, but he needs to show that. I mean, as he knows, he has to be in a position that he performs, and he's aware of that. We think he can do it. Very good defensively, and also from an offensive perspective, of course, has a lot of tools. We think he'll be able to do that. So basically, I think with the signing here, we look at him as being our right fielder, and then we're in a position where we're basically pretty well set out there, because with Justin Crawford being able to play center or left, Brandon Marsh the other, mixed in with a little bit of Otto Kemp out there, Rojas as a backup in center field too, that and then Rincona's coming, that we feel very good. I think that a lot of people look at it, they're unsure, but if you're going to give Crawford an opportunity, you've got to give it to him. And that's where we are. We're going to give him the opportunity to go out there and have a chance to play, a lot. So basically I think our outfield's pretty well set. It's a situation that we like the players. We think Brandon Marsh is a good player, particularly when he hasn't taken the next step versus left-handed pitching. We've talked about that. Will he do it? I'm not sure. But we do like Otto Kemp. We think when we look at ourselves that's one of the best combos in left field if you look at the two of them. Adolis, we think it helps us in right field. It gives us an improvement there. And we think Justin's going to be a good player. We'll just but again, with young players, you have to give them the opportunity. And people may say, well, this versus that, and he's not as good as this versus that. But until you put him out there, you really don't know. But we think he's going to be very good. We think he's going to be a really good player. He has some real speed to our ball club. He makes contact. Just a lot of good things about him. So that's why we think it shapes up to be good outfield for us.
And oh, by the way, there's way less drama with Garcia than Nick Castellanos. So, look, it should be interesting. The first series is going to be against the Texas Rangers to open 2026. And a lot has been made about running it back for the Phillies. We're going to get into all of that. But let's take a break from the Phillies for a second and talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, it was really hard watching the Super Bowl, not seeing the Eagles in it. Didn't help that the Super Bowl was awful. And the Phillies, they've made some moves. The Eagles, they've made some moves too, some interesting ones. And I'm curious to see how this is going to pan out. Can these moves that the Eagles have made so far to start the offseason get them to the Super Bowl again? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of decisions still to be made. Does A.J. Brown come back? Would you even think about doing anything at quarterback? I don't know. So you have a new offensive coordinator in Sean Mannion. You have a new offensive line coach with Jeff Stoutland, with leaving. So what's going to happen here? How is this team going to look offensively? You have Chris Cooper as your new offensive line coach, who played a little bit at guard, was coaching last with the Vikings. So let's talk about all of that with NBC Sports Philadelphia analyst Barrett Brooks joining the show on Bet Park Saturday. Barrett, how's it going today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm definitely good, man. Just enjoying Valentine's Day, I guess. That's
what are you doing, Barrett? What are you doing for Valentine's Day?
Nothing really. I just gave the wife some roses, some chocolates, and just basically catering to her today. So that's probably
so it is funny, like on Valentine's Day, going to the store, the florist, or Trader Joe's or wherever, you just see a bunch of dudes just like scrambling to get into a scrum. It's almost like a tush push trying to get some of the flowers that are like $800 for like flowers that are just going like this, falling apart on this day. Like, are you a last minute guy like myself, or
I can't.
Are you a better planner?
I can't afford to be last minute because I don't like being anxious about anything. So I try to get things done before I have to be asked to do it, So that's kind of what I do,
Man,
so.
I wish I was wired like you are. Like when I leave here, I got to go figure that out today in between this. Anyway, so all right, so the Eagles, interesting offseason so far. Kevin Patullo out. They're bringing in Sean Mannion, and then they make the move with Jeff Stoutland. Obviously, felt like there's some friction and tension there, and just time to move on. And they're bringing in Chris Cooper, the offensive line coach, to be for the Philadelphia Eagles. What are your initial thoughts of what the Eagles have done with the coaching staff to start the offseason?
We talked a lot about last year. We didn't have a play caller to call plays, so we go out and get somebody even younger that hadn't called plays. And he's the word. He's the talk of the town to a lot of guys as far as being somebody that's up and coming as far as being a coach. And that's what the Eagles do. They go out and find people that don't really fly above the radar, and then they go pluck them, and then they end up being these great coaches. I mean, look at the last three coaches they've hired, 3 or 4 coaches they've hired at the head coach position, were guys that weren't really talked about and then became coaches here and became great, from Andy Reid all the way up now to Nick Sirianni. So that doesn't really put me in a position where I'm like, all right, I can't trust what they've done, because they've done it before and had great success. 2 winning Super Bowls, and a Super Bowl loss have come from those coaching staffs. So I'm good with that. Stoutland University closing their doors, I am concerned about that. But hey,
was that a shocker to you? Did that shock you? Because you played offensive line, right? Like,
right.
So that's your bread and butter, right? That's your love. And were you shocked to see a guy that is that beloved in Jeff Stoutland gone?
You know what? I'm gonna tell you the truth. He is the best position coach in the NFL.
And so we hear that. So Barrett, tell me why. Like, I want to hear why he is the best. Everyone says he's the best. What makes him the best, in your opinion?
Well, he's taken concepts from, to be honest with you, Jason Peters at the tackle position, and incorporated how he taught, really him how to play and Jason Peters to play, and applied those to Jordan Mailata, Lane, all these guys that play the position. So getting off the snap count, having the same set every single time. He's able to orchestrate the offensive line and play the same way of prior guys. I mean, look what he's done with Kelsey. He took Kelsey, he retired, and turned around, got Cam Jurgens 2 Pro Bowls. So he's able to get his message to the players and make them better players. That's what you have to do with NFL players. If you can make them better, they will follow you to the ends of the earth. And he is able to make those guys better. So that's why you have guys that play at a high level with Landon Dickerson, a second-round draft choice. Then you look at, Cam Jurgens, another guy that, second or third round draft choice that is, put himself in a position that he's playing great and become a Pro Bowl player. He's allowed guys to really go under the branches of his tree and grow and become great players. So anytime you can get your message across and those guys love you like the way they love Coach Stoutland, you are a great coach. And he's done it for the last 13 years. And out of the 13 years, he's had 7 guys split 26 Pro Bowls. He's had 7 All-Pro guys. I mean 5 All-Pro guys. So, I mean, to have those type of players get those type of accolades, you got to be cooking with the best grease in the world. It's not only hot grease, but it's seasoned grease. You know, I mean, he's done a great job of getting these guys to play as one unit and play the same way, which is at a Pro Bowl level.
Obviously, last year was not working well. And is it fair to blame Stoutland? Probably not, right?
Right.
But if you look in that Bills game, the offensive line is getting beat left and right. They score 0 points in the second half against the Bills. Obviously, they really struggled in the playoffs. Everything this year just felt off. And the run game wasn't as successful. Is it Stoutland's fault, all of it? Like I don't think so. Of course not, right? There was a lot going on there.
Well, there's something, yeah.
Go ahead.
Coach Stoutland can't go out there and fix these guys' ailments. He can't go out and make these guys feel better. And that's the problem. They never healed up from the previous year. You're
saying the injuries.
The injury bug caught him and basically had that line playing like a second-rate line. Even Cam Jurgens, who made the Pro Bowl this year, had the worst year I've seen probably at the center position in a long time, because we've had Kelsey for so long and him playing at high level. He just couldn't do it. He couldn't redirect. His body couldn't take the punch because his back was hurting. And a big thing with him being, hurt like that, they couldn't even run the tush push because he couldn't get low enough and generate enough pressure to get off the ball and be that point at the head of that tush push to really make it effective. That's the whole reason why we stopped running it, is because Cam Jurgens just couldn't do it physically. So you have those type of ailments. And then, Lane Johnson not playing, in 9 games, Landon Dickerson held together by duct tape and bubble gum. I mean, these guys were walking wounded. And even Jordan Mailata wasn't even on the injury report, but he was also injured throughout the year and hurting, but just, played hard. I mean, they gave me yeoman's work at just going out there and just competing, but they just weren't healthy. Those are the times I was like, you know what, they need to take Cam out and put Brett Toth in, because he cannot block somebody crossing his face. Teams got a beat on that, and they're like, all right, you know what, we're going to put our biggest tackle head up on him or on the side, on picking one side of him, cross his face, because his body just couldn't handle the redirect from those players getting up the field. And he just couldn't stop him. That's why you ask your running back, who's one of the premier backs in the league, he's getting the ball. As soon as he's getting the ball, he's getting hit from straight up the middle, because we just couldn't block the point of attack because the guys were just so hurt.
And I'm saying all this to say, I think the world of Stoutland, obviously, and you hear everybody talk about just how amazing he was, but when things aren't going right last year, and again, I don't think it's all his fault, or maybe a lot of it's not his fault at all, but can this be a good thing where you go, okay, if we're going to bring in a new offensive coordinator and change the way we play on offense, and the style and attack for the offensive line may not gel and vibe with that, and you bring in a new guy who, okay, maybe a lot of guys haven't heard of and is not Stoutland, can it still be a good thing? Because if the offense gets rolling and Sean Mannion can get Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, assuming he's here, and get this offense gelling like they should be playing, I hate to say it, but no one's going to think twice about Jeff Stoutland, how great he was. Because at the end of the day, and I get it, he brought the best out of these players, and he found Jordan Mailata as a rugby player and turned him into a stud left tackle. I get all that. But my point is that nobody cares unless you're winning, right? So if you're winning, if you'd find a way to, you're going to forget about Stoutland, correct? I mean, you're going to say, okay, this was a good move. Hard to do, hard to see him go, but this was a good move if things can get going the way everyone thinks his team can play. Yeah, and that's a big if too, I mean, we go from Stoutland University, and now we're going in and we have Cooper Junior College, so, I mean, we're going to be working from the basics. And if Coop can make these guys, that's Coop with a K, KU, instead of a COO. But Cooper, he comes from the lineage of Denver, and Denver
Their offensive line block, zone blocking, and one of the best coaches to ever call up plays with the run blocking, the way they do it with the zone blocking, is Alex Gibbs. Alex Gibbs was one of the best coaches to ever coach also with the offensive line. Those great teams that they had in Denver that won on Super Bowls was Alex Gibbs' system. So that's exactly what he's going to try to implement here. Do I see them being successful with it? That's if we can get the offense going in the right direction. And because that offense does a lot of West Coast stuff, and they also do a lot of blocking of play action underneath center. So it's not just the offensive line playing well. Does Jalen, go into playing underneath center and with play action? They get the ball out their hands really fast, with getting, the first read and the second read. Those are all things that you got to see if, Jalen's going to be good with it. So the biggest thing is can Mannion get Jalen going in the right direction? Can he make him a better player? He's a quarterback. He's a former quarterback. So it should be a nice relationship. They should be able to get along. But can he make him better? And if he can make him better, I tell you what, Jalen Hurts will follow him and put himself in a position that he's always going to get better. He's always going to do whatever he needs to do to get better. So
we saw at the end of Hard Knocks. Yeah, and we saw at the end of Hard Knocks that Jalen said to Nick Sirianni, we're going to be back, right?
Absolutely.
And so he has that fire to get back. And Hurts was out at the Super Bowl, just kind of soaking it all in around some of the legends and former MVPs of the game. So as competitive as Jalen Hurts is, it's probably eating away at him to be at the Super Bowl, to not be in the game. And I do want to ask you, how do you think this offense will look next season? There's been a lot of talk about, with Sean Mannion, that this offense is going to look different. How do you think this offense looks different on the field come September?
Well, you're going to have a different it's going to be a different vibe. Like I said, play action, a lot of play action to push the ball down the field, kind of a West Coast vibe, getting the ball out of his hands faster, going with the reads. That's a big thing. Also, a little bit more emotion to the offense. But I think the biggest thing is Mannion going to put himself in a position that he can counter what other teams on the defensive side of the ball are doing. And we didn't counter well enough this last year. Can he see, all right, this is what they're doing with us now. All right, they're going to stop us from running the ball. They got an 8-man box. How can we deviate from that, still run the ball, but still be successful in the second half and make those type of adjustments? It didn't seem like we could do it this year because the second half we just played poor, for the entirety of the year. Can Mannion get that going in the right direction? Can he have those plays to set up other plays later on in the game? Because, all right, you have trips over here, and we saw in the trips formation, they run this type of defense. Well, they stopped us on this play, but we did see something that, could hurt them the next time we run trips. So later on in the game, they would go throw trips out there. We know we're going to get this look. Now we got a play that counters that play and gets the big play because we adjusted to what other teams are doing to us. That's what we have to do. And he can do that. This could be a great team. To me, I still have the same, I have the same feelings that I had last year leaving the Super Bowl because the core group of guys are there on the offensive side of the ball. With the exception, I don't know if they bring Dallas Goedert back, but, everybody else is intact. Saquon Barkley, the offensive line, if they're healthier, it'll be a totally different season, period. So if they can go into this season healthy and ready to rock, it'll be a great season for this Eagles team. And we'll go with the pattern we've been going with. All right, we have success, go to the Super Bowl. The next year, we play bad. Then the next year, we go to the Super Bowl. The next year, we play bad. So hopefully we're on that next year going to the Super Bowl trend for next year.
Barry, you talk about all the changes. You had a very successful NFL career. You were in these huddles. You've been in these huddles. When you talk about the changes that need to happen and some of the changes that will likely happen, how much of it is on the quarterback? So what I'm saying here is, how much do you believe is on Jalen Hurts to buy into it? And so, we've heard people talk about Kevin Patullo being a good coach and this and that. How much here do you think is on Jalen Hurts to be able to say, okay, I'm going to do what Sean Mannion wants to do here and not kill these plays, not put the kibosh on it, and execute this? How much is on Jalen Hurts here?
That is going to dictate how this season's going to go. You've got to get Jalen on board or whatever you're calling. Like it or not, where Jalen goes, this team goes. That's why the great teams have great quarterbacks. And I do feel as though Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback. You can't say that, he's not, because he showed at the highest level that he can be the best player on the field. Now, can he get some consistency of being that great player all the time, as opposed to just going against great quarterbacks? He always plays well against great quarterbacks. Look what he did. He beat the Bills. He beat the Bills twice, and Allen's supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He takes those type of things, takes it personal, and goes out there and balls. Can he apply that to the rest of the season? And if he could do that, I tell you what, we would be talking about MVP type of career, and a gold jacket at the end of his career if he can continue to get better and play to the level that he plays in those big games. Those big games, he's always played like he's the best player on the field. We need to apply that to the games when he's playing against, teams they should beat. That's the thing. They should beat. So if he buys on what Mannion's saying and they get it going in the right direction, they have a good relationship, the sky's the limit for this offense, this team, period. Because where Jalen Hurts goes, this team goes.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of frustration, obviously, with this football team going into the playoffs all season long, then in the playoffs and coming up short. A.J. Brown, a lot of question marks around A.J. Brown. Is he going to be here? We heard what he said at the Super Bowl. And so A.J. Brown said at the Super Bowl on the podcast with Micah Parsons, said that Philadelphia's home. And he made it sound like, and I know there's some time away and time kind of heals some wounds, but he sounded like a guy that expects to be back, sounded like a guy that wants to be back. Do you think A.J. Brown will be a Philadelphia Eagle next season?
I do. I really do. This is not a situation that you have with, Nick Castellanos. Cas is gone now.
Oh, we got all into that. Yeah.
Yeah. They say he was a bad. I doubt if he was that bad of a teammate, but AJ, all the stuff you hear as far as him tweeting and all that stuff, you don't hear one player in that locker room talking bad about AJ. AJ wants to win. AJ wants to be the highest player at his craft. He wants to be and stay one of the top 3 receivers in the NFL. And he can't do it without the help of a offense that features him. And you can feature him and win and run the ball. You just got to make sure that you get the ball out. Our offense was too many 3 and outs. We had, not enough opportunities to have anybody be great. That's Saquon. That's AJ, even Smitty, we should have had a great offense just because we had one of the better tight ends in the league. He had 13 touchdowns this year. He probably priced himself out of the Eagles' range now. He's going to go and get the money, but that's the type of situation that we should have had. This offense should have been, going off and just scoring 30 points a game. So because we couldn't adjust the way we needed to adjust, we failed. The first half we played great. The second half we played terrible. We've got to adjust and make those adjustments. Does AJ need to be an Eagle? Yes, he does need to be an Eagle. Why? Because he's one of the best players at his position in the NFL. You don't just let good players like that go. And like I said, nobody in that locker room says anything bad about AJ. It's just us, the media, saying those things, and him, that's just what happens with, you
gotta get him off Twitch.
Get
him off Twitch, and he's cryptic. Here's my whole thing with all of it was like, just get off Twitch. Like all that stuff to me is unnecessary. Right. And the cryptic posts, like, he's not an idiot. Like, he knows, and and just control yourself with that, because then none of the questions then become about his relationship with the Eagles and Jalen and is he happy. That doesn't become a sideshow to the season. I'm not saying that's why, but if you just eliminate that, then there is no drama. In my opinion.
Exactly. There's no drama, and you get he plays better when he's feeling better. And then, I hate to say that, you tied in with how he's feeling in the game, but you got to play, 100% all the time. But when he's in a position where he's not, he's not featured or he's not getting the ball, of course he's going to have an attitude. That's what happens. But I really think that he's going to be here. In fact, I know he's going to be here. $43 million of dead cap space if they let him go or they trade him or anything else. I can't see them, doing that. I know they did it, a while back with
Carson
Wentz, but 43, that's almost double what Carson Wentz salary cap hit was. They can't afford to do that, nor do they want to let one of the best players at his position in the NFL right now go. He's a good player.
All right, Barrett Brooks, we appreciate you joining us on Bet Park Saturday. Great insight from NBC Sports Philadelphia's Barrett Brooks does a great job covering the NFL and the Eagles. Great takes there on Sean Mannion, the new offensive line situation. Of course, Jeff Stoutland and Jalen Hurts and the A.J. Brown drama. Hopefully the Eagles look much, much better and get back to the Super Bowl come this time next year. Barrett, we appreciate you joining us.
Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it now.
All right, the one and only Barrett Brooks joining us on Bet Park Saturday on this Valentine's Day here from Parks Casino in Ben Salem. You can pick some winners and go for the gold while you watch the winter games. Bet on men's and women's ice hockey, bobsledding, speed skating, skiing, curling, and much more. It's time to play. Join me on the Bet Parks online casino and sportsbook app, where there's always another way to win. Right now, new casino users score up to $1,000 bonus back in the first 24 hours. Plus, get 250 bonus spins on Good Heavens or Little Demon Mega. Collect them over the course of 10 consecutive days. Yes, 250 bonus spins. With the Bet Parks Casino and Sportsbook app, you can play real casino games as well for real money. Bet on all your favorite sports right on your phone. Bet Pro Hoops, player performances, bet the game by quarters, and much more. The Bet Parks online casino and Sportsbook app, where there's always another way to win. You must be, of course, 21 years old or older in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, or Michigan. New users only. TCs, of course, they apply. See the site for details. Casino bonus must be wagered. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. So great catching up with Barrett Brooks, talking about the Eagles there. And I want to go back to this Phillies conversation. I really do, because one of the other big things going on this offseason, not just about Nick Castellanos, but what was this entire notion that the Phillies were just running it back. And I think that's just a bunch of nonsense. I really do. It's just an uneducated take on the Phillies. Let's get real here. The narrative that the Phillies are running it back, like it's some sort of failure, is just pure nonsense. What would you like them to do? Tear the team apart that's consistently been elite and start over because of October? Now, I'm not saying that they should be excused for what has transpired in October in playoff baseball the last couple of years. But you have guys on that are making hundreds of millions of dollars. If your stars, your studs, Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, are not performing in October and have a bad week, like you're going to blow the team apart. And so that's on those guys. And do I think they need to inject some youth and some energy into this team? I do. And I think what Dombrowski said about Bryce Harper, whether it was on purpose or taken out of context, whatever it was, is going to get Bryce Harper fired up. That not elite comment. He had the T-shirt on a few months ago when he was working out. He posted it on TikTok. I like it. But let's have a reality check here about the Phillies. It's not time to panic. This team, I think, on paper, right now, is still one of the best teams in baseball. And if they just do some of the little things right, just a few of the little things right, and hit when they're supposed to hit, they can win a World Series with this team. But look, woulda, coulda, shoulda. You have to perform in October. The Phillies have been one of the best teams in baseball the last 2 years. 95 wins in 2024, 96 in 2025. That's not good. That's elite. It is elite. And what's going on in October, of course, has been atrocious. Okay, but you have Harper and Schwarber and Turner, Real Muto, Nola, Wheeler, their frontline talent. And Jesus Luzardo and Christopher Sanchez has come on to be a dominant rotation. But I don't think you blow up this team because of it. And look, they tried to go get Bo Bichette. Didn't work out. Okay, you have to now give Justin Crawford an opportunity in center. Okay, he could be your center fielder for a decade. You have to give him some sort of runway here. Would I have liked to see them improve left field a little bit? But they're going to give Otto Kemp a shot. Okay, we'll see what Marsh does. I would have liked to see an upgrade there. But if they couldn't get a deal done, what are you going to do? And maybe Bichette would have helped with some of this. It didn't work. They tried. But they bring back Real Muto. He's one of the best catchers in baseball. A replacement for Real Muto is nowhere on the same planet as JT. So what is the trade-off there? Right field, they're taking a gamble there. Of course they are. But I think, as we showed earlier in the show, that Garcia is more productive than Castellanos. And this is just the truth. The fact that everyone's saying, the Phillies are running it back, I just think is nonsense. You're not going to rebuild and get rid of Harper and Turner and all this stuff. And there's not a free agent in the world that you could go bring in here that you know for a fact is going to perform in October. You just don't know. And as the Phillies reported the spring training this week for pitchers and catchers, I got the sense that Rob Thompson and Dave Dombrowski kind of are going, I don't like this running it back phrase either. Here are those guys talking about the fact that the Phillies are not just so-called running it back. And if that's what you want to say it is, it's not a bad thing. Listen to those guys.
I'm not a fan of a real big fan of the saying or the term, but because I think we can't forget that we won 96 games last year, and we got a really good club, and we're going to turn over probably 20 to 25% of our roster, and that's not including having Duran for the entire year. But I like the improvements we've made to our bullpen. We got a new right fielder. We're going to inject hopefully some youth into our team with the Crawfords of the world and the Painters of the world, and Otto Kemp. Miller's not far away, and so I'm really excited about it. I'm more excited about it this year than I was last year, because I think we're better this year on this day this year than we were on the same day a year ago.
There's just some built-in natural change that's taken place. And sure, we have our same core of players that we really like, with the Schwarbers and the Harpers and the Turners and JT and the list goes on with the Wheelers and Nolas. But we've got some young players this year that we're very excited to mix in. We're very excited about having a Justin Crawford and Andrew Painter and Aiden Miller and Otto Kemp join the organization. We have made some changes itself, particularly when you look at last year at the end of the season. Last couple of months, we brought in Duran. We signed Keller, who we like. Alvarado, who's playing it back, but will be with us all season long. We signed Garcia to play right. I think you're juggling, always trying to have the best club that you possibly can. And like for me, for example, the best way I could look at, and I would say to people, you say, well, playing it back. Well, let's just say for the sake of playing it back, you didn't want to play it back. And I've made the comment to people I know that if we left those winter meetings and we hadn't signed Schwartz back and he signed somewhere else, I wouldn't have felt very good about that, and we wouldn't have been running it back. So I think it depends upon who you run it back, and we like our core players, and they do a great job for us. Our staff, especially if Wheels isn't ready, you're assuming 5 starters. Again, Painter has to earn it, but it's pretty well set. I think 6 guys in our bullpen is pretty well set when you start talking about from the right-hand side, Duran and Kirkering and Keller, and we got Bolin to be on our club. You got Alvarado and Banks, so that only leaves 2 more spots. And then from the positional player perspective, we have a battle for a backup catcher behind JT. Our infield is basically set, with the guys with Harp and Stott and Turner and Bowman and Sosa. That's 5. You got the 2 catchers, that's 7. You got Schwarber 8. You got Garcia 9. You got Marsh 10. We're hoping Crawford's on the club and think he will be, so that's 11. We're hoping Otto Kemp's there. Again, these guys got to earn it. So that only leaves you one other spot that you're dealing for a lot of other people, positional player-wise. Again, all assuming health and that everybody's okay. But, people can force their way on the club. They can make changes. You can trade from depth, but not a lot of spots, assuming that everything goes well.
I'm real excited. I'm real excited about all our young kids that are coming into camp. It's a really good group, but and I've said all along, it's usually 2 years after TJ when a guy gets his command back and gets all of his stuff back.
So there you have it. And I know they're going to defend themselves and the whole running it back phrase. I don't think it's a bad thing, okay? I still think this team is capable of winning a World Series. Say what you want to say about Stott and Bohm and the left field situation, and even criticize the right field situation. But I don't think there's a lot of teams out there that are better. And when you look at the starting rotation, it's one of the best starting rotations in baseball. And even though they lose Ranger Suarez in free agency to the Boston Red Sox, remember, Ranger was not a starter in the playoffs last year. He came out of the bullpen. So look at this on paper. They have one of the best starting staffs in baseball. Their ace, Zach Wheeler, coming off the season-ending medical procedure. He had that blood clot near his shoulder. He had to have a rib removed, which I guess he admitted is in his closet for some reason. But listen, I understand Wheeler's not expected to be ready for opening day on March 26th against the Rangers at Citizens Bank Park. But once everyone's healthy, when you look at this staff, when you look at the options here, okay, you have Wheeler, one of the best pitchers in baseball, okay? He finished second for the NL Cy Young Award in 2021 and 2024. When everyone's healthy, you have last year's Cy Young Award winner runner-up and Christopher Sanchez. Plus you have Jesus Luzardo and Aaron Nola, which I hear looks really good so far after having a tough injury-plagued season a year ago. And then you have Andrew Painter, one of the top prospects in baseball, who by all accounts looks really good. Taijuan Walker had a really good year last year, and I know a lot of people were down on him the year before, but he looked great last year, okay? And yeah, he's not a 1-2 guy, but the back of your rotation or a long guy in your bullpen, he was great. I'll take it. And so when you look at these options here for your potential rotation for 2026, I think this is fantastic. And a lot of it does come down to Zach Wheeler and his health. But he feels great. He's not on track for opening day. He's not going to start opening day. But the Phillies don't need him for opening day. The Phillies need this team to be dominant in the playoffs, okay? And that's all that it was. And even without Wheeler, the Phillies pitching staff was dominant. And so the Phillies are very confident in the pitching staff, and it all starts with Zach Wheeler.
I don't know what to expect as you're moving along. You know, I'm sure there's speed bumps that you're going to hit along the way, as with any surgery or recovery. So, you know, you just take day by day things as they come and go. Just trying to hit my check marks.
Anticipating that for sure. Yeah, I mean the strength's coming. He's playing catch. He's only out to 90 feet right now, but it's 4 times a week. We're going to try and get him out to 105 feet. I don't know when he's going to get up on a mound, but the shoulder strength is getting better, and that's a good sign. So obviously a lot of people have done a lot of work, and again, the motivation just keeps going up every year that when you don't get to that final game and win it. So I'm really pleased with where they're at. I'm excited to see Adolis Garcia getting back to why I think we're better. I think our outfield's going to be better this year, especially defensively. When we went into spring training last year, we didn't have Durant, and I think our bullpen's better right now. The NRIs that we've picked up, there's a lot of talent there with a lot of options. So that makes the bullpen even better. We didn't know, I mean, we knew Sanchi was good. We didn't know Sanchi was this good last year at this time. There was a lot of question marks, not by me, but from other people on Luzardo. Now we know what we got with Luzardo. Taijuan looks really good. Hopefully, you know, the Painter thing just keeps coming. And Nola, I think, is going to benefit from playing the WBC just to get the blood flowing a little bit earlier.
Yeah, when you talk about Aaron Nola, by all accounts so far, he's in great shape. He's had phenomenal command so far in the early goings in Clearwater. That's a great sign, according to Rob Thompson. And Nola, he was not great last year. He was bad. He had his worst year as a Philly, but he made a change in spring training. Obviously, he's healthy now. But Nola's been doing more long tossing to help with his arm strength. And so that has been something that Nola hasn't done a ton of over his career, but it's something that he's working on in spring training. So Aaron Nola has been the cornerstone of this Phillies rotation for, over a decade? And so his career numbers, if you look at him, 1,800 strikeouts, career ERA under 3.8. He's consistently pitched innings, and he's been one of the elite starters for this Phillies team over the years. Do I think he can get back to the Aaron Nola that he was? I do. I think his work ethic, he's calm under pressure. But he had setbacks last year. He had multiple injuries. He had the right ankle sprain. He had the stress fracture in his rib, limited him to just 17 starts. And the results were just not Aaron Nola-esque. I mean, he had an ERA over 6, 5-10 win-loss record, not up to his standards. But I do believe when a guy, and you hear Nick Sirianni talking about this with the Eagles, goes through adversity, we're going to see what they're made of. And if not for the adversity, maybe they don't have that great bounce back year. And I think you don't need Aaron Nola at this point in his career to be the 1-2 guy. You just don't, because you have Sanchez and Luzardo. So I think Aaron Nola, that's going to be a part of the World Baseball Classic, this is going to help him be ready for opening day. I really do. And I expect Aaron Nola to have a big bounce back season. So by all accounts, Rob Thompson says he's ahead of schedule. Aaron Nola ahead of schedule, ahead of the World Baseball Classic. So hopefully this is a good thing. All right, let's bring in John Jansen, host of the Line Change on Fox Sports Radio. We're going to talk about some gambling. Lots of gambling stuff going on out there. Now, whether you won some money on the Super Bowl, whether you lost some money on the Super Bowl, awful Super Bowl, John. If you took the under, you're happy. But the Super Bowl was brutal. How did you make out on the Super Bowl when you think about those lines and the way that whole game played out?
Yeah, very fortunate for me. The game script that I was thinking that was going to happen happened. Seahawks were the better team. I thought they were much better heading into this game. So I had Seahawks first quarter. I had Seahawks on the spread. I had Drake May to throw 2 interceptions. So that helped as well. I think that was plus 384. So yeah, made out well. It was basically Drake May's going to throw a lot. Drake May's going to be throwing a lot under pressure because his offensive line isn't good, because he has to try and come back. And that was essentially basically my whole game script, and that's exactly what happened. So the Super Bowl is always tough because of that. It's one game, and you're trying to really guess how the game is going to go. Game script determines everything when it comes to props and Super Bowl props. So yeah, that ended up being like very good that it ended up going that way.
We had Barrett Brooks on, the Eagles analyst for NBC Sports Philadelphia, a short time ago, and he was expecting the Eagles to bounce back next season. When you look at the odds for next season and the Super Bowl odds for next season, the Seahawks, they're the favorites right now. I am still not a Seahawks guy. I'm just not believing in this team. I'm not believing in the Patriots. I thought it was a horrible Super Bowl. I don't believe in those two teams. When you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, do you think they're undervalued right now? Is this potentially a good buy, a futures bet for the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, you got to wait till free agency, the draft, things like that, because the Eagles are probably going to do some things, especially in the offensive line. It's the first time going into an offseason that the offensive line I have a little bit of questions about because of guys' injuries. Landon Dickerson has a long now injury history, and it's starting to plague him a bit. Lane Johnson's getting older. We've been hearing talks about potential of retirement from him. So I want to see the offensive line and how it's worked out, but always I think you can give Howie the benefit of the doubt there because he's drafted well on the offensive line. I think the Eagles are undervalued because the roster is still very good. It is one of the top, maybe still best rosters in the league, especially offensively where they weren't good this year. They still have all the talent there. A.J. Brown's still a very good player. Devontae Smith is a very good player. Dallas Goedert's a very good player. Saquon Barkley is a very good player, and I think he played well last year despite the offensive line in front of him. And Jalen Hurts is really good. So I think they needed to change a scheme. They needed to change kind of a philosophy of how they run their offense because it's been about the same for 5-6 years, however long Sirianni's been here. And I think they needed something a lot different. And Mannion, I think, is a sign of that. He comes under the LaFleur, McVay, Kyle Shanahan tree. It's different run concepts, which I think is going to help Saquon Barkley, and just different passing concepts that I think is going to help Jalen open up the middle of the field. I think Jalen's problem throwing in the middle of the field isn't that he's not comfortable doing it. It's just like he doesn't look for it. So if there's something there to look for, I think it's really going to help him out. So yeah, I'm excited, and I think the Eagles are going to be undervalued because they're a top 2 or 3 roster still in this league.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And you think about, just the way it played out. I don't think anybody saw the Patriots and the Seahawks doing what they did. I mean, when the season started, you're thinking, okay, Eagles, Lions. You didn't expect the Bears to do what they did. Yep. In any event, when you talk about future bets and you talk about, okay, what may happen, are there any bets out there about whether or not A.J. Brown will be on the Philadelphia Eagles? Because I talked to Barrett about that, and he doesn't think A.J. Brown's going anywhere. He almost guaranteed it. Are there any bets out there right now as far as whether A.J. Brown will be a Philadelphia Eagle?
Yeah, I don't think they have that over at Bet Parks, but if they did, that'd be a fun one. I'm not gonna lie, because
It would be a fun one. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets interesting. Because what Howie Roseman likes to do as well is he understands when a player may not be at his best. So you try and either trade, get rid of him at a time where he still has some value, and you can also maybe improve in another way in that position. Not to say that they can, because AJ Brown's so great. But look, it was a down year for him. And I still think he's a very good football player. I was trying to still scream that from the rooftops, even though his production may have been down a little bit. I think it was more the offense as a whole. And A.J. Brown still is very good. But yes, maybe it's time that he's slowing down and Howie Roseman can look. I would say they're going to probably stick with A.J. Brown for another season. I think it's worth it. He is still a number one wide receiver in my mind. He opens up the offense in ways that Devontae Smith can't. I love Devontae Smith. I think Devontae Smith is a fan favorite, and some people would say maybe a better receiver just because of the technical aspects of the position that he does well. But A.J. Brown, you can't teach some of the things he does. He's really great after the catch. He's really good deep ball and one-on-one. I just think the guy's a game breaker, and you want to be able to keep that on offense. So, yeah, it gets a little bit more interesting because of how the season ended, and he played an awful game in the playoff game against the 49ers. And just, again, all the chatter, I think you were saying it with Barrett, being on Twitch and, saying stuff while playing video games. You should probably knock that off. But outside of all of that, he's still a very good player, and I think he's going to want to be on a contending football team like the Eagles.
Can I ask you about the Phillies? So we talked a lot today so far about the Phillies and the Nick Castellanos situation, and you look at this roster, and this looks like a World Series team. Obviously in the playoffs, each of the last few years, they just haven't performed, and your studs have not performed. Where do the Phillies stack up as far as World Series odds, and are they overvalued, undervalued? What are your thoughts on the Phillies, where they stand as far as the line?
Yeah, and I think you're making really great points too. I've been listening to the show, and I think because that nothing really happened in the offseason, it was just Adolis Garcia, really, that was the big one, and everybody was expecting more. And I think there should have been more done. Still, the roster on paper is very good, and they have been one of the best teams in baseball for 3 to 4 years now. So it's not like I think there's a dip coming to where all of a sudden they're going to be fighting near the bottom of the NL East, or they're going to be a middling baseball team in the league. I think they're still one of the top teams in the National League right now. They're sitting at plus 700 on Bet Parks, which is tied with the Mets. The Mets have a slight advantage when it comes to NL East at plus 190. The Phillies are plus 195 over in the Bet Parks app. But I think the Phillies are right there, and their roster speaks to it. They get Zach Wheeler back. I know we got to see how he is health-wise, but Zach Wheeler and Christopher Sanchez, one of the best 1-2 punches, maybe the best 1-2 punch in all of baseball. They didn't have Wheeler in the playoffs. They have him this year, and I think it makes a big difference to have that guy. Now, the thing that they need, the youth of the Phillies has been such a big problem for them. Really, Bryson Stott, Alec Boehm, they just have not performed at a level high enough to fill out their roster. So now, and it seems like they're going to rely on it a lot, they're going to rely on Justin Crawford to come in to potentially play center field. He's going to be good defensively, but can he cause enough havoc on the base paths? He's a great runner, but is he going to get on base enough because he doesn't have any power? So it'll be interesting to see how impactful he is, because the other guys like Stott and Boehm didn't. And then also Andrew Painter is going to get an opportunity in the starting rotation. That could be another guy who could be your 3 or 4. So yeah, I think there's such a microscope now on these guys that are potentially coming up. We've been talking about them. We've been waiting for them. And now's the opportunity to use them, because the other guys that you brought up a couple of years ago just aren't panning out. So I think that's interesting. And look, Aiden Miller, I don't know how close he is, but I think you're going to have to look at every potential option bringing up, because that's their biggest issue, is just filling out the lineup and the bottom of it. And the guys like Stott and Boehm just haven't been good enough.
Yeah, and I love what they've done so far in Clearwater. They put Aiden Miller's locker around the Phillies studs and Harper and Turner and Real Muto. Schwarber. I love that, because this guy they believe is one of the futures of the franchise. Put him around the Phillies studs right now. So let me go back to the Phillies. Let's stay on this. Do you think the Phillies, they're a good bet right now to win the World Series?
I'd probably wait on it. Futures bets are hard, especially right now in the National League. The Dodgers are so good. And so that's
You
always
don't
going to be
say.
the toughest obstacle. I know. And it's like they can continue to get better, and they get Kyle Tucker. It's tough. So I would say they're a better bet still than the Mets. The Mets are good, but the Phillies are better through most of the year. And I still think on paper a better baseball team, even though they get Bo Bichette, which would have been obviously huge for the Phillies and would have put them in the driver's seat fully to win the National League East. I still think the Mets being a slight favorite is a little bit too much of they got Bo Bichette and they're still spending money. And, everybody's kind of looking at them when I still look at the Phillies roster on paper. And especially, again, that starting rotation, it's better than the Mets. And I'll take a starting rotation like that any day, especially in a long season. 162 games, starting rotation is going to win you a lot of those. So, I think the Phillies, I don't know if a good bet for the National League or maybe a good bet for even winning a World Series or anything. The only one I'd look at is they are slightly behind the Mets in the National League East, and I think that's a little that should be switched. But the hard part is really, you would have to see what happens with the Dodgers all year. If there's injuries that happens, or maybe they don't perform well. But right now, it's hard to compete with a team that is clear, like one of the best assembled teams of all time.
Before I let you go, last thing about the Sixers. I want to get to you about the Sixers. VJ Edgecombe said last night, after becoming MVP of the Rising Stars game, that he's thinking that this team can be dangerous, and that's his focus after the All-Star break, to put together a dangerous team on the floor. Are the Sixers dangerous enough where you would put money on the Sixers to make an NBA Finals run?
So when you put a wager on something like that, you want a team that's consistent, that's stable.
So that's no. I'm going to cut you off. That's a no.
And really, it just comes down to the stability of Joel Embiid's right knee. And that's like the big thing. If he can't get through, he can get through small stretches and he can get through like a handful of games. But in the NBA playoffs, it's not just one 7-game series. It's another one and another one after that. So it's a lot, and you have to play a lot, and it's grueling and it's physical. And I just don't know if Embiid can hold up through all of those games. Look, I think it's a really great roster. What they've done, they have good youth. Tyrese Maxey, after I hate to say a down season, a bit of an erratic one, looks like the best scorer, one of the top 5 scorers in the NBA right now. So Tyrese Maxey's been great. They get another young player in the draft in VJ Edgecombe that they hit on, absolutely nailed it, and he's going to be great for years to come here. But it's just not enough. Joel Embiid's the one that still would make them that contender, that would make them that dangerous team. And I just don't know how dangerous it is when he's going to have this right knee management happen every so often. It's unexpected. They don't know when it's going to happen. You can't predict it. And if it's something I can't predict like that, and just him being healthy, then all the other things, all bets are off. I can't predict anything then, not knowing if he's going to be available. It's just too hard.
Yeah. All right. Well, John Jansen, the host of the Line Change on Fox Sports Radio, we appreciate you joining us today on Bet Parks Saturday. Great insight there on some future bets to come between the Eagles, Phillies, and Sixers.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jeff. And I do want to do one bet. I like the Hawkeyes today against Purdue. It's around -113, so go Hawkeyes.
Okay. All right. We'll take it. Maybe he'll pay for my Valentine's Day flowers for my wife with that bet, right? All right, John Jansen, we appreciate it. Great insight there on some of the gambling odds going on with Sixers, Phillies, Flyers, Hawkeyes, whatever you want. Check out the Bet Parks app for the latest there. All right, Parks Casino, great place for a night of headline entertainment and award-winning dining. Just announced Andrew Dice Clay coming to Ben Salem May 16th. He will be here. Plus Saturday, June 12th, an All McCartney Live, a tribute to Sir Paul McCartney. Tickets still available for these headliners at Parks Casino. Saturday, February 14th, Michael Bublé Experience, a special tribute show celebrating all of his music. February 28th, Parks Country Music Fest kicks off with country artist Brett Young. Saturday, March 14th, comedian Tracy Morgan, you know him from Saturday Night Live. Coming up in April, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame members Cheap Trick, they'll take the stage here. April 18th, Grammy winner Melissa Etheridge, plus Jacob Dylan and the Wallflowers are here May 14th. Then we will have comedian and singer Wayne Brady coming up on July 18th. ParksCasino.com has the full listings of entertainment. You can buy tickets there as well. You must be 21 years old. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. So, we've talked a lot about the Phillies and the Eagles, and we got some good gambling odds there from John Jansen. Let's talk about the Sixers, please, can we? VJ Edgecombe in the Rising Stars game looked fantastic. Fantastic. And if you're not convinced that VJ Edgecombe, the Sixers rookie, is a future star, did you see last night 23.7 rebounds, 2 game winners, and the MVP? The guy is going to be a stud. And the Sixers backcourt for years to come with Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey, who's going to be in a three-point contest tonight and is also a all-star starter for the first time tomorrow. The drive and determination from Edgecombe is going to be special. You already see it. You feel it. He's on the biggest stage in the world last night as a rookie, rises to the occasion. He joked last night that he felt no pressure in front of all-stars, in front of his fellow peers, in front of NBA legends like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And he also did not want to waste Tyrese Maxey's time. Maxey was there courtside cheering and watching Edgecombe play in the Rising Stars games. He did not want to disappoint his teammate, Tyrese Maxey. He didn't want to waste his time. And it is just going to be, I think, fantastic. It's one of the reasons why I would trade Joel Embiid. I would have traded him at the deadline. I understand why the Sixers don't, and I understand why you wouldn't. I would move on from Joel Embiid because you look at this backcourt, you're going to win with this backcourt. These two guys, they have the energy, they have the hustle, they have the drive. But Edgecombe, he's so competitive, so competitive. He hates losing, even during All-Star Game festivities, which has become a joke in the NBA and Major League Baseball, and of course in the NFL with the Pro Bowl. All that stuff is a joke. But he's so competitive. He wanted to win and did not want to waste Maxey's time. That's how much respect he has for Tyrese Maxey. He's the MVP last night. And you could just sense it here. If you listen to him last night, Edgecombe, after winning MVP of the Rising Stars game, just how much he is driven and loves what he does for a living. And by the way, he likes the money too. Here's VJ Edgecombe last night.
What I proved to myself?
Yeah.
I don't think I proved anything to myself. I just wanted to go out there and show everyone that, I can hoop. Regardless of the stage, I just want to go out there and play basketball. I enjoy it. I enjoy playing basketball. And I hope I showcase that tonight. And I wanted to win. I hate losing. I really hate losing. And man, we have a chance to win it all, so why not go out there and win? But it's really credit my teammates. We always bought in. We always like, you know what, let's go win it. Nah, it was no pressure. Be honest, it was no pressure. Free throws, man. I just try to be dialed in, try to be focused at the line. Free throws are precious, and obviously tonight, we needed them to win the game. So I just focused, just make them both.
And then at the end of the first game, just when you got rolling with the 10 straight points, what did you see? How did that sort of unfold from your perspective?
My teammates were swinging the rock. My teammates were passing the ball, and I was open. I had some open shots. My teammates found me, and I just made them. And then it's coming off the pick and rolls or whatever it is, one-on-one, just go out there and go try to get a bucket.
How was it having Tyrese courtside, and what do you think it is that makes you guys this box office backcourt?
Tyrese is my dog, man. I told him, I was like, man, he was like, he ain't coming to watch if I ain't gonna play. If I ain't gonna play hard. So I was like, man, I'm gonna, play hard so he can have some, at least that's not a waste of his time. I didn't want to waste his time. I know he have a whole lot of stuff he could probably be doing right now, especially being an all-star. So I say, man, Tyrese is my dog. I love him. So, yeah. Man, it feels great, obviously, to win MVP of the Rising Stars game. But, I'm focused. My next focus is this push after the All-Star break. After the break, we just got to make a push. Like you said, we're still in the hunt for that playoff spot. We want to secure a playoff spot, and from there we just gotta stay together. just keep hooping, keep trusting each other. Like I say, I feel like we're a dangerous team if we're healthy, and I'll stand on that. So yeah, and I appreciate people tuning in too. You know, even to the Rising Stars game. You know, we just try to make it fun, try to make it competitive, where it's worth your time. So yeah. Of course.
Second row on your right.
Hey, VJ. Just curious what it was like to have Vince as a coach. You know, talking to some of the other guys, he seemed like he was pretty into it and really wanted you guys to win.
Yeah, he told us, why not just play hard? Earlier today, after practice, we all decided, we was like, man, we just going to go there and compete. So Vince, you know, he just wanted me to be aggressive the whole time. I showed him. I just try to show him why he picked me as his first pick, which is a blessing. And I just wanted to go out there and go hoop, just play basketball. So yeah.
Jay, just what have some other highlights of the past couple days been besides tonight? I know what a basketball junkie you are, so just what else has been a highlight?
I got to sit next to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That was fire. Yeah, that was fire. I just interacted with a lot of players. Some of them I've known. Some I got to know, build a good relationship with. Then just all these appearances, man. I'm tired. I'm ready. Yeah, I'm ready to go home now.
Does this inspire you, though, to be part of the main event on Sunday at some point in your career?
Definitely, man. It'll be a true blessing to be an all-star. I won't take that for granted. You know, if I'm an all-star one day, hopefully I am. So I say I'll just be truly blessed, and I'll enjoy it for sure.
Standing on your right.
Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
I've heard you say a few times tonight, just go out there and enjoy yourself and have fun. Through this game of basketball, which you've been playing for many years now, how have you been able to maintain that joy? We know it has its ebbs and flows.
First of all, I love it. I really love the game. Kept me out of problems and different things. Secondly, I'm in the NBA. There are a lot of great people. Another thing, you know, you get paid in the NBA, so you can't, you know. So, you know, I'm able to take care of my family. So why not go there and have fun, you know? I feel like everyone else gonna put pressure on you to do certain things. So you got to be at peace with yourself. You know, I have Coach Rico that I work with on the Sixers team all the time. Just be at peace with myself, peace with my game, and you know that's what helped me, especially on this level where you know you got the parlays and everyone telling you they're ready to beat you up and all type of different things. So yeah, I just try to stay level-headed, man. To try to stay level-headed. So yeah.
Last question on the right side.
Can you just follow up? You said you got to sit by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Why was that important? And a lot of young men your age might not even know who he is. And did you talk to him?
I'll be honest, I shook his hand. We did not have a conversation, but I say he's one of the greats of all time to ever touch a basketball, and to just be in the same room as him is a blessing, you know. And obviously when we go on the floor, we all try to honor, you know, everyone that came before us by playing hard, doing all the little things within the game, you know, growing the community, even off the floor and stuff like that. So knowing him showing that, still showing love, even though he's retired a long time ago, it means a lot. And I have nothing but respect and love for Kareem and all the greats that come before me. Everyone that come before me, you know, I'm grateful to be in the league because they helped make this league what it is today. And so I'm just very grateful. So shout out to all the OGs that came before me, everyone. You know, it's all love from me.
Thank you, VJ. Thanks,
With
everybody.
the short format of this new tournament, how did that impact how you went after each possession?
I'm be so honest, we got lucky because we had the second game, so we didn't have to sit and wait for another game. So it played in our favor. Thank God for that. It played in our favor. It was just like a little halftime break. That's all it was. And like I said, we kept rolling. We could have been like, all right, it's over, but we decided to continue playing hard. Man, we was like, we in the championship, so why not win it? So yeah.
I love this kid. I love VJ Edgecombe. I like his mentality. I like just how humble he is. The Sixers released a video on their social media accounts of him signing autographs and taking pictures with kids after taking the shoes and sneakers off his feet. He takes them off, he hands them to these kids, signs autographs, and I've seen that over and over again. He introduces himself, "Hi, I'm VJ." Just don't see that from big-time NBA talent. You just don't. You don't see it from Ben Simmons. You didn't see it from Joel Embiid. The guy's not standoffish. He works hard. He gets it. He comes from humble beginnings. He appreciates the bananas kind of money that NBA players and professional athletes are making right now. I mean, it's cartoony, the kind of money they're making right now. And that's a whole nother conversation. But he talked about it there. He's appreciative of the money. Like, it's a lot of money for him and his family. So I just love the guy and the work ethic. You hear it all the time. And he says that this team can be dangerous in the second half. And I get where he's coming from. I'm just not buying it. And that's not a knock against him. It's just, I just don't believe in this team. I mean, the Sixers head into the All-Star break with a 30-24 record. They're 6th in the Eastern Conference, okay? Sixers, they fell to that Knicks. They got destroyed by the Knicks. It was awful in that final game between the two teams. Ending the regular season, 2-2 against the Knicks. That game was awful. I know they don't have Joel Embiid in that game. I know Paul George is suspended. But man, oh man, that was a clunker. And I do know they were coming off of the West Coast road trip, and they had the red-eye flight. They get in at 7 in the morning, and I get it. If you've ever been on one of those flights where you get little sleep, you're tired, I do understand. But there's not the consistency there. And they still can't close out close games, in my opinion, at a high rate. They don't have a killer on the team. Who are you going to give the ball to with 2 seconds to go down 1? And B turns it over a lot, fumbles, flops. He's never, I feel like, 100% healthy. So what are you going to do? And the way they go into the All-Star break leaves a really bad taste in my mouth. They had a nice stretch there going into that West Coast road trip. They were playing really well going into that trip. And then, they had that game in Charlotte and then the game against the Knicks. I'm just going, man, oh man, like this team, really? And you're always going, well, if Embiid can just stay healthy. Well, if they can just find guys around Embiid. Well, if they can all put it together. I've been talking about this kind of stuff for a decade. It just hasn't come together. And it's just, at this point, just unacceptable. Okay, now you're doing the Paul George thing, but the way they went into the break, coming off that red eye, and I get it, there's some excuses there, and they don't have Embiid, don't have George, but it's just bad. It's bad. Here are the Sixers.
You gotta handle it better than that, is what I would say. I mean, I obviously, it's not super easy landing at 7 in the morning and trying to figure out your rhythms of your day and stuff like that. But you got to handle it better than that. Really disappointing. I mean, obviously we had zero readiness and energy, physically or mentally. Just kind of got to the half. The game was pretty much has been settled by then, and just going over all the things that we'd already gone over that we couldn't get done. I don't know. There just was no energy, no, neither physically or mentally tonight. Pretty much. I mean, yes, a couple guys tried hard and played pretty well, but for the most part, the just execution of what the game plan was and all that stuff was just not getting done at all from the opening tip.
Guys are a little tired. This is what the break is for, though. This is what the break is for, man. Rejuvenate, get your legs back under you, get mentally prepared for this stretch, because after the break, it's go time. You know what I mean? It's go time for every team in the NBA that's trying to make a push for sure. And they want to play their best basketball down the stretch to get ready for the playoffs.
It's always a few games like this during the season. So, I think, as professionals, we just got to flush it, but, know what got us here, because I'm sure we'll see those guys again, and whether we're probably in the playoffs or whatever it is, but just flush it and then take this break, clear our minds, and move on.
Yeah, we can't keep dropping games like that and just saying flush it. We got to be better. So, yeah.
I think the break will be good for us. I think the break will be good for this team. Guys got to reset. Guys are tired, you know. Guys have played a lot of minutes. We fought a lot in this, 54 games. Guys have been out. Guys have stepped up. Break will be good for us. Get guys healthy, get guys rejuvenated, and it'll be good for us.
What would your message, I guess, be to the team overall over the All-Star break?
Just relax. Relax. It's gonna be a big push for us. We determine basically our own fate right now. You know what I'm saying? That's good for us, and I think we feel good and feel like we're in a good position. Like I said, tonight is what it is, and we'll be all right.
I'm embracing it. I feel I'm ready for it. I know what I can bring to the team, and my versatility. So I just want to help this team win, and however I can, and just be impactful. And I think over the road trip, I was able to do that, and now I'm just taking a few days, watch some film, and be ready for the opportunity for when I get back and take advantage of it.
We wanted to go on the break strong. Wanted to go on the break at least, winning.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that didn't happen. We just got to be better. It's simple. It's simple, man. We just got to be better. Just keep our, just focus on next game, man. Focus on next game ahead. Even though the break ahead of us, man, we wasn't really focused.
We got to do a better job. I think I don't know. We seem like we had one really good game on the road trip as well, but I think to the point of your question, there's been some probably not as good a nights, and just most of it I think has been offensively when I thought we were operating really well early in the year. With some of the stuff that we'd kind of put in training camp and stuff, and just got to maybe get back and, would you say, readjust? Yeah, re-go over it a little bit and look at some of that stuff, because we're obviously capable of playing, pretty decently offensively as well.
We said wasn't locked in. Energy was off. I don't know. It's my first time around the All-Star break, so I can't really tell you if this how it normally is or this how. But it shouldn't be like that. We just gotta be better as a team.
We've certainly played a lot of really good basketball, right? That's one thing I want to emphasize for sure. I don't want one really poor performance to try to overshadow a lot of the work these guys have done and how hard they've played and a lot of good things they've done. I think one area we certainly, we work on it every day, but we'll continue to work on it is rebounding. I think defensive rebounding is a huge factor for us. I think we really need to be able to control that or survive that a little bit, especially against some of the bigger teams. So that would be one thing. I think just some variety, a little bit more, continuing to add and tinker just some more variety to the offense. That would be another thing. And then just, we got to be able to execute schemes, right? I think that I'd say for this time of the year, I'm pretty happy with some of the schemes we got in defensively that we can go to, right? I think we can guard. I think we've got a smaller version of another man-to-man defense that we got that's pretty good. We've got our blitzing package has gotten a lot of work and pretty good again with certain lineups. Our switching lineups have been pretty decent. Again, just being able to polish all those things up, because you're going to need a variety of things as you go forward and as these games become more meaningful. So I'd say those three things.
And just working out from there. And I think, a lot of guys are doing the same thing. So, I know, a lot of guys will be in the gym and we'll be working, but also resting at the same time, though.
And this break would be great for me. Like, really, 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 really good for me. I need some time to just kind of reset, not just physically but mentally as well, and get my mind prepared for this stretch that we're about to have. And it's going to be a good stretch for us. You know what I mean? I think we have some good games coming up. I think guys know what their roles are. Like I said, this game is this game. It happened, and we move forward from it.
I don't know why. I just don't believe that this Sixers team is magically going to turn it on here in the second half. You don't have Paul George for most of it. You'll have him with 10 games to go. What's Joel Embiid's status? and I still say, and I've said it over and over today and other times, that you don't have a killer. You're not able to close out games. You don't have one of the best players in the world, who I just don't think is going to lead you to not only the Eastern Conference Finals, let alone the NBA Finals and win an NBA championship. I just don't think Embiid's the guy. I just don't. He's a great individual player when he's available and when he's healthy. But in and out of the lineup, it's just insanely disruptive. It's disruptive, and it's a different guy every night with a different lineup. There are no other teams out there that have this touch-and-go situation every night for a decade and then suddenly magically turn it on in the playoffs and win championships. It doesn't exist. It doesn't happen. And we've been hearing the same stuff about the Sixers for a decade. When he's healthy, we're going to deliver a team to the play. It doesn't happen. It doesn't. The teams that win year in and year out, for the most part, are the teams that have built something together, that have consistently playing together. They just don't have it. And they don't have the killer. And they don't have the ability, I think, at a high level to close out clutch games. This has been going on forever. And it's no secret they need Joel Embiid. Take a look at how the Sixers perform with and without Joel Embiid. With Joel Embiid this season, they're 19-12. It's not spectacular, but it's good. Without Embiid, 11-12. Okay? So if you look at that, they're not great with him, and they're not atrocious without him. That's why I would tell you that you don't need this disruptive flow game in and game out. I would trade Joel Embiid this offseason. I just would. It is so disruptive to have Embiid in and out of the lineup and to have this flow issue. And I think it's an issue. The flow, you can't get into a flow. You can't have the continuity. I would trade Joel Embiid this offseason. I just would. I think it's just time. And can he light up the court and be a dominant presence in the regular season when he's healthy and put up a 40-point game? Sure. I just don't think you're going to win with the guy. I just don't. And I'm not saying he's not an amazing player. I just don't think he can win the NBA Finals, let alone get to the NBA Finals with Joel Embiid. I just don't think he can do it. I think it's run its course. I think you can at least get some value back for Embiid. And yeah, maybe he'll put up 30, 35 points. But you're going to give him the ball in the final seconds of a playoff game? Are you confident he's going to have the control to not turn it over, to not throw it away, and hit the game-winning shot? I just haven't seen it. I haven't seen it from a dominant. You see it from dominant players like LeBron, and you see it from Kobe, and you see it from Steph. I don't see that same confidence and aura around Joel. I just don't. He's a turnover machine in those final seconds. And even Tyrese Maxey talked about it. I thought Tyrese Maxey was honest talking about it going into the NBA All-Star break, that it's a challenge playing with Embiid, not playing with Embiid, just because of his availability and the inconsistency and the continuity, this touch-and-go situation. Here's Tyrese Maxey on the Joel Embiid situation.
It's weird, man. It's weird, man, because you got to play multiple different ways. A lot of times he sits out on back-to-backs, so it's like it's hard. You know, you go from one way going from playing one way with him or without him early in the season. He comes back, you know what I'm saying? You got to play that way, then play a different way when he's there, which is okay. It's fine. You know what I mean? It's the reality of it, and we'll be all right. I think he'll be here more than he isn't here when we get back. And but you got to maintain those games that he's not there, you know. And Paul probably won't be there until the end. So we got to just maintain. We did a really good job in Golden State. We did a really good job for 2 quarters in Portland. Honestly, like if they attacked us in that third quarter and just made almost every shot, and we couldn't recover from it. But so we'll be okay.
Sorry, Tyrese. I don't think you're going to be okay. I just don't think you're going to be okay, because at the end of the day, you have to have your stud, your star, playing and available and not this, his knee this and his knee that. And you can't have it. You have to have your stars playing day in and day out. And this is more than just an off day. There's just always something going on. This touch and go for a decade just doesn't work. He's played well this season when healthy. You got to trade Joel Embiid. All right, so Tyrese Maxey, first-time All-Star starter. He's back at the All-Star game. He was courtside watching VJ Edgecombe win MVP in the Rising Stars game yesterday. Could be a great weekend at the All-Star game in LA. Maxey's going to be in the three-point contest. He doesn't have the best odds to win, but it's up there. It's up there to win the three-point contest tonight. And then, of course, Maxey will be in the All-Star game tomorrow in LA. I think it's great that the two best players on the Sixers, in my opinion, the two guys that I'm most excited about are Edgecombe and Maxey. They are the future. And this backcourt dynamic that they have, that's why I say build around those guys. Get some value for Joel. Build around these guys right here, right now, because this is the future. You see it with their play, and you hear it with their mentality, their determination, their work ethic behind the scenes. Something that you don't hear a lot of guys talking about Joel Embiid's work ethic. Okay? And I'm not saying he doesn't work, but not to the degree that Tyrese and that Edgecombe work. And I think Paul George is just past his prime. And not playing right now with the suspension, it's just not happening this year. I don't think you're beating the Knicks in a playoff series. And I don't think you're getting the Eastern Conference Finals. I hope I'm wrong. But these two guys that are at the All-Star game, they're the future. They're the future. And I would wipe my hands clean of the other nonsense going on with Joel and Paul George this offseason and build around these two kids who are special. And they are soaking it all up in LA this weekend. Paul George and Tyrese Maxey at the All-Star break.
I'm blessed, dude. Like, every single day, thank God, I sent my family a long, text message today, my mom and everybody. And then, the people that's just going out there with me, LaJordan in the back, he's helped me a lot this year. MG, she's here. Unc, my grandmother was here tonight, and my little cousin. All those people, that's really what it's for, man. I go out there and try to represent the name that's on the front of my jersey for the 76 organization. I thank them. And then also the name on the back of my jersey, man. I'm blessed to be a Maxey. My dad is, I'm blessed to be here, and I'm blessed to carry that name. And I'm just going to go out there and represent that and represent our organization.
I'm super excited. I would have been a little more excited one day, but I'm excited, man. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to be on that stage. I'm in LA, so I'm looking forward to it.
Competing, honestly, man, if you want me to be honest with you, like I said, my first time there, I was kind of trying to feel things out. You know what I mean? You're still, I don't want to say starstruck, because when you play against those teams, you're competing, in the regular game, you're competing against them, and you're going out there to, win. And then when you get there, it's just weird. I was sitting in between, Jalen Brunson and Tyrese. And it's every single time we play them, I'm out there trying to compete and kill, you know what I'm saying? So then it's in there, it's a little awkward for the first 3 minutes. I didn't say much. Then we started talking, and you build a little friendship with Jalen Brunson. He's somebody that, we became friends. Donovan Mitchell's a guy that I became friends with from being out there. Of course, Scotty, I've known him for years. So it's that'd be cool, actually getting that, time to talk to those guys. And then I want to win in three-point contest. I'm in it, so why not try to win it? And I want to win on Sunday, too. I was blessed to be able to win my first All-Star game, and I want to try to win again. And I think it'll be fun if I bring some competitive nature.
Yeah, man. Just showing, it's all love. It's love between all three of us all the time, man. So, credit to them. Credit to T. Watt for spending his break with us. And obviously, Tyrese got to be there.
He does. He does have to be there.
So, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see Tyrese in the three-point contest and All-Star game.
It's crazy. Honestly, if I'm being honest, everybody's told me that. And it's I appreciate it, man. Having respect from your peers. Most people say, dude, you deserve this, man. You worked your tail off and you earned it. You haven't like this wasn't given to you. You earned this one, and I'm just thankful, man. That's when you get respect from your peers. That's the ultimate respect. If they respect you, then you're doing something right. And I just want to keep, like I said, putting on for this organization, putting on for my family, and I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna compete. Listen, we can talk and be friends in the locker room, but when we get out to playing, like I want to win. I want to win. I want my team to be able to win, and I'm gonna help my team do whatever it takes to do that.
You know, I'm not surprised. I know how hard he works, but it's just, crazy to see it all come together. And him being a starter this time, I wasn't able to go to his first one, but him being a starter this time is big time. And I'm happy for him, and I look forward to seeing him out there. Him and VJ.
Yeah. Spend time with my family, to be honest. And competing. Mainly my family. I got to see my family. So.
I'm looking forward to it. I've never been All-Star Weekend. I said I wouldn't go unless I was in it or, one of my closest friends is in it or was in the game. So him being obviously my closest friend, I look forward to seeing him out there. So, yeah.
So far, so good. VJ Edgecombe winning MVP at the Rising Stars game, and now Tyrese Maxey in the three-point contest tonight. Can he win it? I would love to see Maxey win the three-point contest. Should be a lot of fun tonight in LA for NBA All-Star Weekend. All right, pick some winners and go for the gold while you can watch the Winter Games. Bet on the men's and women's ice hockey, bobsledding, speed skating, skiing, curling, and much more. It is time to play. You can join me on the BetParx online casino and sportsbook app, where there's always another way to win. Right now, new users up to $1,000 bonus back in their first 24 hours. Plus, get 250 bonus spins on the Good Heavens or Little Demon Mega. Collect them over the course of 10 consecutive days. Yes, 250 bonus spins with the BetParx online casino and sportsbook app. You can also not only bet on sports, as we're sitting here at the sportsbook, you can also bet on classic casino games. You can do it really all on the BetParx app. Bet on pro hoops, player performance. You can do games and prop bets, bet by quarters, much more. The BetParx online casino and sportsbook app. Check it out, where there's always another way to win. You must be 21 years or older in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, or Michigan. New users only. TCs apply. See the site for some details. Casino bonus must be wagered. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Well, that'll do it for us today on BetParx Saturday here on the PHOY Sports YouTube page, live from the Sportsbook at Parx Casino in Bensalem, Pennsylvania. A special thanks to Barrett Brooks and John Jansen and all of our special guests. It should be a great week ahead as Phillies pitchers and catchers are in spring training. The position players, Bryce Harper and company, will be here when we are back by next week. It should be a very interesting time to hear from Bryce Harper, I'm sure, this week as we hear about those not elite comments. It'll be the first time that Bryce Harper will speak about that, so it should be great. Can't wait to hear what Bryce says as his Phillies team hopefully can turn this thing around post the Nick Castellanos era. All right, special thanks to my producer, Julia Hoff, and a special thanks to Parx Casino. We appreciate having us here, right here outside the Sportsbook in Bensalem. I'm Jeff Skaversky. We'll see you right here next week on BetParx Saturday. Have a great Saturday. Happy Valentine's Day.
We all silly like the mayor.